If you enjoyed this program, please like and subscribe. So when Jesus asks the question, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Did he mean it? Moreover, it doesn't even make sense. I know you're terrified of finding a lump. If I told you that I got a deal for you, you get crucified on Friday, no doubt will be the worst afternoon of your life, but you spend the weekend in paradise, you resurrect on Sunday and live forever and never get sick again, never get old. Who wouldn't do it? Jesus won the lottery. The story doesn't even make sense.
Okay, caller, you're live on here. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Hello, this is Daniel from Michigan.
Welcome, Daniel. Welcome to the show.
Okay, William and Rabbi, I've been reading these passages for quite some time. I have to let Rabbi know that those books he wrote is amazing. It's even more amazing that Christianity still has a leg to stand on.
That's funny. Very true.
Yeah, it was a lot of things in those books. I mean, you wouldn't see firsthand, but he does expose them for a lot of fraud in those books. I'm just surprised that Christianity still has a leg to stand on.
And there's links to those books also in the video description area below. Get them there. It'll help me out a little bit. So, all right.
Yes, wonderful job with those books, Rabbi. Wonderful.
Thank you.
I love it.
Thank you.
Okay, so my question is, I'm reading these Gospels. It seems like Jesus seems to know everything leading up to his crucifix. But once he gets up there, he says these words, my God, why have you forsaken me? What went wrong at that point, which will cause him to say that?
That's a great question.
Right.
Okay, Daniel, go ahead and hang up now. Rabbi, did you want to keep him on at all?
No, let's get rid of him. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Daniel, go ahead and hang up now, brother, and tune in for your answer. Thank you, Rabbi. All right.
So that's called the cry of dereliction, where Jesus screams out, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? And it is a quote from the book of Psalms, chapter 22. The author of the second gospel is seeking to show that Psalm 22 is a prophecy about Jesus. Now, of course, it isn't. Psalm 22 was authored by King David. We know it because we're told that. And King David is groaning in his own anguish. He really does feel forsaken. And I really implore people to read Psalm 22 from verse 1. And the author, David, asks the question. He says, I don't hear you. And maybe some of us can relate to that, where we pray to God and we're just wondering, is there someone listening to me right now? David HaMelech asks the question, when my ancestors asked you questions and supplicated to you, you responded, but I'm not hearing anything. David had very serious problems in his life. If you think you have problems, David had enemies all about him that wanted to destroy him, and he cries about this. He uses the metaphor of wild animals. He doesn't start here, but he starts chapters earlier in describing his various enemies and how he felt completely abandoned. The beautiful feature of these psalms is it explodes. You find what makes a great song fabulous. So a great song, why are some songs just spectacular? So a great song draws you in and only delivers at the end, delivers that incredible solo, really. The great music sort of draws you in. I'm not a musician, but this is how it works. The great songs draw you in, and you're anticipating something is coming. You want it so desperately, and you know it's going to come. And then it just delivers that relief at the very end. It just explodes. And all the great music does this, and Tanakh does it as well. So all these chapters, Psalm 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, David HaMelech is crying out to God. So you know it's coming. You know the great solo is coming. And that's Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd. I don't want, even though I'm walking in the valley of dark, your staff and your rod comfort me. And that's the great psalm that everyone knows. Why? Lahavdil Elif Alfi Avdolas. It's like a beautiful piece of music. It's the resolution. It's like the resolution of Beethoven's Ninth Symphony in the fourth movement. It's all music, and it delivers that crazy solo that just go nuts. All the great songs of this, and all Tanakh is like this, where it's drawing you in. There's nothing to do with the future Messiah. It has to do with David. And David is saying that ultimately, you prepare my enemies before me. You are my source of comfort. What does the Christian Bible do? It takes these texts, what David HaMelech is speaking, King David is speaking in the first person, about his own predicament. Would you want to have your best friends betray you? Your wife curse you? Your son wants to kill you? Your father-in-law wants to kill you? You think you got problems? You ain't got problems. King David had problems. King David had struggled, but ultimately, both your staff and your rod, both are my source of comfort. What does that mean? Both the staff that holds me up and the rod that beats me, they both are Hemo Yinachamuni, they are my source of comfort. So in the cry of dereliction of 15, verse 34, the author doesn't care that it doesn't make sense. It just feels good there because Mark, the author of the first gospel, is portraying Jesus as completely helpless on his way to the cross. And it doesn't matter if it contradicts something else. It just has to feel good then. It just has to give you the feel good at that moment. And if it contradicts everything else, if it contradicts that we are told that Jesus says that I'm going to have to suffer and die and many things and rise on the third, it doesn't matter. It just has to deliver the high there, and it has to feel good. And that's why when you listen to the testimonials of Christians who explain why they became Christians, they'll tell you that it feels good. It changed my life, and I don't do drugs anymore, because they traded in one kind of drug for another kind of drug. And you're right. In the cry of dereliction, in verse 34 of chapter 15 of Mark, my God, you can only imagine Jesus there on the cross. Why he feels alone. But what do you mean, why? Of course that's why. I'm here because, and in fact, this portrayal of Jesus in Mark's passion narrative, while it shares many features with the other synoptic gospels in particular, it differs sharply from Luke as an example, where you don't have this, because in Luke's gospel, Jesus is much more strident, very much in control, and he knows exactly why he's there, and he's not screaming this kind of stuff on the cross at all. In fact, he's having nice conversations with the ladies as he's being taken off to be crucified. They're crying for, it's a totally different Jesus. They're crying for him, and he's saying to them, what are you weeping for me? Weep for yourself. You know what's about to happen to you. It's a total different story. So this is Mark's story, his passion narrative, and his passion narrative really has passion. There's pathos here. And that's attractive because the Christian could connect with that Jesus. It contradicts everything. It doesn't matter. It feels good now. Do you follow? Seinfeld, the main character in the sitcom, in his name was asked, he was asked in one interview, you know, it was a very successful show and everything, but the stories really don't make any sense at all. And Jerry responded, he said, we didn't care if it made sense. It just had to be funny. It had to ignite a comedy. And the fact that no two stories in an episode made any sense at all, and it was so ridiculous, it didn't make a difference. And that show was a very successful show because people suspended. All right, so the story is ridiculous. It didn't make sense. It didn't follow. It doesn't make a difference. It just is supposed to be funny at the moment. Mark's interest is showing that Jesus was a pathetic character who had really nothing to say when he was standing in front of Pontius Pilate. When he's asked about all these charges of him, he doesn't have this lucid conversation explaining. He said, you say it's su lege. He's quiet the whole way. He doesn't understand why this is happening to him. He's beside himself. It's really very different. And a question that I don't necessarily recommend unless there's a theological reason for it, but a question that I've asked Christians at the right time is this question, it's called the cry of dereliction. Was this a sincere question or not? It's a very important question. So when Jesus asks the question, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Did he mean it? Was he looking for it? Was it a sincere question or not? Christians don't know what to say to that. They'll give you all kinds of speeches, but if you ask a question, did he mean it? Did he not know why? Or did he know why? Christians are going to have a lot of trouble answering that question. So it works there. Why? Because Jesus died for my sins. Look at this poor guy on the cross, dying, abandoned. This is why Christianity works. This is why it delivers. It delivers because I felt that way. I felt where my husband didn't care about me. Well, my father never cared about me. He always thought my older sister was prettier and better and so on. Where my wife thinks I'm this. My friends in school, no one respected me. People ignored me. I was invisible at a party or a gathering, right? So that's the part that people connect to. There. It doesn't matter that Jesus explains, we are told, exactly what's going to happen to him. Moreover, I would just say this. If he knew that he was going to suffer and die and then remain in paradise for the weekend, I mean, look at Luke. As I told you, Luke has no passion in it. Luke even has a lucid conversation with one of the criminals and says to him, you're going to be with paradise with me today, and reassures him. And says to God, forgive them because they don't know what they're doing. You would never find that in Mark. It's so different. It's not different that the words are different. It's a totally different Jesus. And that is also good. That also delivers that kind of drug. People smoke a cigarette and that delivers a high, a certain whatever it gives, and they have a shot of vodka or scotch, or I don't even know the difference between them. Whiskey. I don't know why people drink this stuff. I'm not trying to be cute here. I don't know. Well, I understand like people enjoy a glass of wine. I never understood strong drinks. It's just me, and I'm very grateful that I don't understand it. But people are getting something out of it. They put a glass down on the bar. Give me a double, right? And I'll tell you a funny story. When I was a child, is a very early memory. I don't know how old I was. After the synagogue service, all the men would gather and they'd have kiddush. They would drink a little whiskey and have a little piece of cake. I'm not kidding. I was a little boy. I don't know how old I was, but I remember looking at my grandfather. He was and all the men did. And my grandfather was holding this drink. I don't know what it was, but it had the color of apple juice. And I said, Zaidi, can I taste it? And he, without blinking, he handed me a schnapps glass, and I put it to my mouth and just tasted it, and I spit it out. It was the most horrible thing, gave back to him, and that cured me of drinking. I mean, it was repulsive. So the point is that people want this, they get this. The New Testament is a panoply of highs. And one of them is that, look at Jesus. He doesn't know why his enemies hurt him. And I don't know why my wife hurts me every day. That's what it is. And it doesn't have to agree with other parts of the Gospels which portray Jesus. And number two is, frankly, what are you so upset about? If we are all worried about sickness and illness, we're all concerned because we know of people who are very, very sick, and we know at any moment something terrible can happen, and we worry. It's like walking through a minefield, right? It's a very frightening thing of not knowing. Well, Jesus didn't know, so that's attractive. Whatever you want salty, you want fatty, you want whatever you want, the Christian Bible delivers the high. The only thing the Torah says is, I know it feels good, but put out the cigarette because it's going to kill you. Not now. I know you're enjoying it now, but if you drink alcohol excessively, it's going to kill you. And it'll even kill you faster than cigarettes will. I know now you feel good, but it's going to kill you. So the cry of dereliction is it's a drink. Moreover, it doesn't even make sense. I mean, if you were offered the possibility, I know you're terrified of finding a lump. I know you're petrified of something going wrong where you have to go to the doctor and they're doing a biopsy, right? If I told you that I got a deal for you, you get crucified on Friday, no doubt will be the worst afternoon of your life, but you spend the weekend in paradise, you resurrect on Sunday and live forever and never get sick again, never get old. Who wouldn't do it? Jesus won the lottery. The story doesn't even make sense. Like, if you die without any knowledge that you're going to live forever and resurrect on Sunday, that's nothing. You're getting a refund. That's winning the lottery. Who wouldn't do that? Who wouldn't be executed on Friday if you were sure that you're going to resurrect on Sunday and never get old again and never get sick again? The whole story doesn't make sense. But it really is a Seinfeld episode. It doesn't matter if it makes sense. It just has to deliver the high now. And the Torah is saying, I know you want to get high. I know you want pleasure in life. Just don't go for the short-term pleasure. Go for the long-term pleasure, the eternal pleasure. Not that one puff is very pleasurable, I'm sure. That drink, whatever reason, people drink vodka, whatever, they enjoy it. I have a friend who loves different kinds of malts. I don't even know what that even means. He gets a kick out of it. I'm very grateful. I have no desire for it. The Torah is simply saying, stay focused on the Torah because it will give you the long-term pleasure. It's not the short-term high that Christianity gives. So Mark 15, the cry of dereliction, is there to give you the high at that moment so that it would enjoin you to identify with Jesus, who feels hopeless. After all, you have felt hopeless too, but he rises from the dead. Thank you for your question. If you enjoyed this program, please like and subscribe.
אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא ועת נעשה בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה